Lemmy here and welcome back to another video. This is my second YouTube story I'll be telling in December, and we have one more after this one, and that one's quite the doozy. So I decided to stick the simplest story in the middle because I feel like I need a break from the really weird, disturbing ones. So before I get too involved in today's video, I do want to mention something about last week's video. The comments section is disabled, and it's disabled for a reason. And there are updates regarding that video that I made last week, because I don't just sit here and expect things to happen on their own. I go out and I try to do something about it. And I know there might be some viewers out there that are like, oh, you think you're so great because you said you go out and do stuff about it. But I've spent a long time researching things and contacting a lot of people. So if you're interested in knowing what exactly happened in last week's video, you can go and you can check it. I will update the video description as I get more information, as I have been doing, but the comments section is disabled for a reason. With that being said, if anyone in this video or any other of my videos, if I see any comments about last week's video, I will automatically block them. I won't give you another chance. I won't delete it and be like, well, maybe next time they won't contact it. If you don't have, I mean, seriously, I've laid everything out in that video for you. And if you're still going to talk about it, like, I'm just going to block you. So please, please, I know people are curious, but you have to think about the well-being of others. So please put others before yourself in this situation. That's what I've been trying to do. I've really been trying to get a lot done. So, and there are people that are looking into it. So that's all I'm gonna say about last week's video. I really did feel like I have to touch upon that because it was a very shocking situation and I had no idea, and I had to figure out how to handle it and what to do, and I did what I thought was best for everybody out there, all of you guys. I did what was best for people that don't follow me, that I don't know, they don't know me. I'm trying to protect you guys, but also other people that I don't know. Please, please, if you have any respect for me at all, don't leave any comments about that in any of my other videos. I mean, I respect you guys a great deal, and I know that it upsets you that you don't have a name or someone that you can point and look at and say, wow, that guy is totally awful, and I totally understand that, but I care about you, and I'm trying to protect you in the best way that I can. So please, please, please respect me enough to not drag that to other videos. It's really been consuming my life the past week, how much time I've spent on it, and if we could just move on, that would make me so happy, because I don't want to keep thinking about it, and I don't want to keep talking to everybody about it. I want to move on, I want to address what happened, and move on at the same time. So let's try to keep it to today's subject. Today's video is going to be about the most awkward and weird Google Hangout situation I've ever been a part of. And I mean, it's just kind of weird. So, you know what, I'll just start. Okay, one day, around a year ago or so, a sort of pop-up appeared on my YouTube Creator Studio, and it said that YouTube started a program teaching creators about how to get the most bang for your buck on YouTube. And they had a whole bunch of different programs and seminars. Some of them were about more basic things, and some of them were more like advanced classes that had more complex ideas. And around that time, my YouTube had underwent a very dramatic change. And my statistics, they were doing really, really well. And then suddenly they just tanked. Like, I honestly have no idea why this happened then or now. It was increasing, everything was beautiful, things were really looking up, and then all of a sudden it just went and like died. So I really don't understand that pocket of time in my YouTube career. And it was after a specific video was uploaded, but that video wasn't any different than what I normally do, and it didn't involve anyone else, and it was just, I don't think it was the video. I think that YouTube must have changed something about their algorithm at that time, and like suddenly it went from thousands of people who watched my content to like barely anyone who watched my content. I don't really know what happened. So obviously I was really concerned about this, and I didn't understand why it happened, and I figured, hey, I'll contact the partner assistant team or like squad. I don't really know what they were called, but I just figured I'll respond to that pop-up on my creator studio. So I respond to the little pop-up thing up top, and I get in contact with this nice woman from YouTube, and I told her what happened with my statistics. I let her know this is the point in time that everything dropped off. I don't do anything differently. I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know if YouTube changed their algorithm or what's going on. And she looked into it herself and had no idea why it was happening. But she did suggest that I take a course regarding YouTube analytics, and this was one of the more complicated seminars that they offered. And I figured, you know, like, okay, I guess maybe this will help me figure out what happened somehow, or maybe I'll just learn some interesting information that might be helpful somehow. So I'm going through the calendar, and I'm looking through available dates, and I find one that I knew I'd be around for, and I signed up. The day of the class arrives, and I get there a few minutes early because I'm a diligent student. And actually, it was a Google Hangout, and I've never really used that before. And there was this Google representative there, and they were going to teach you about analytics. And inside this hangout, there were multiple YouTubers and YouTube accounts, and the reps were encouraging everyone to network and talk to each other and see if we wanted to work together to help grow our audiences or something like that. But I was like, well, what am I gonna... This guy's fixing cars, you know, that one's vlogging, this one does gaming videos. Like, at that point, I'm kind of like, there's no one here I can really network with. I mean, it's not like you come across another YouTube artist in the wild very often. So I was kind of just being friendly with people because the class didn't start yet, and honestly, I was kind of bored, and I was just trying to be nice. And that's when things took a turn for the worst. Okay, I guess it's not the worst. It was just really weird. That's where, out of nowhere, something weird happens. My old ex-summer boyfriend, from when I was around 18 or so, shows up in chat. And it's been like 10 years since I saw him. And I was just like, so surprised. So... in the hangout, in front of everyone, I'm like, oh my god, I know you, we used to date. And at the time we dated, I wasn't a part of YouTube, but I vaguely remember he had an account back in the day. And I think he had several thousand subscribers. Maybe it was around 5 or 6. So I knew he had a YouTube channel, but he didn't know I had a YouTube channel now. And then the Google Hangout chat just gets super awkward and quiet among all the other people there. And he's like, so who are you? And I told him the story of how we met at summer camp. Now, the story I'm about to tell you will be a bit more detailed when I tell you guys, but I mean, I obviously didn't want to be like super creepy in the Google Hangout with all these other YouTube people. But like maybe only a little bit creepy, but not like super creepy. I just wanted him to know who I was. We're gonna initiate a flashback sort of sequence, and I'll tell you the story. Little Lemmy was around, I don't know, maybe like 17 or 18 or 19 or something, and I got a job at a summer camp full of rich kids. And I used to work in the arts and crafts area as a part of a team, which consisted of 4 people. And this boy I met at summer camp, we're gonna call him Todd, because I learned my lesson from the last video that I made. So Todd was the most popular camp counselor in the entire camp. Like, the kids really loved him, and he took really good care of them, and he went out of his way to make each day very special and fun for them. And he had a lot of energy to keep up with the kids, and the parents would fight about if their kids would be able to get into his camp group. Like, they would actually seek him out when they went to sign their kid up and said, I want my kid in this guy's group. Younger Lemmy liked Todd. I mean, I guess he was kind of goofy and funny, and I liked him. He was nice. And I knew he liked video games, which for me at that point in time was a huge plus, because most guys I knew were more interested in things like sports, and Todd liked the kind of games that I liked, and he was also a creative type, and he was a music teacher during the school year, so it was kind of like, you know, I kind of like Todd. So I figured, like, you know what, I'm just gonna ask him out, because he's nice, and what the heck, I only have 1 more, or maybe 2 more weeks of camp left, and if he says no, I'll just hide in the art room, and then if he shows up, I'll run away. Because that was my dating technique. And actually, I think he might have been one of the first guys I dated, now that I think about it. But actually, the very first guy I ever dated tricked me into going on a date with him, but that's like a whole different story. But, I know this is the only guy I've actually asked out in my life. And looking back, I'm really surprised that I was able to do that. Keep in mind, I was really shy when I was younger. And it wasn't until I started doing YouTube and stuff that I kind of became more comfortable speaking to other people and being confident in myself. And yeah, back then, I can't believe I asked him out, especially being me. So there was this entire, like, plan I concocted. So the camp would have weekly themes that would happen. But I'm not actually sure if it was weekly themes or daily themes or like a week of daily themes. I just remembered that there were a lot of themes. So like some days all the kids would come in their pajamas, and then other days were like the 4th of July sort of thing. And you guessed it, the camp had a Valentine's Day theme. So I'm like, okay, Lemmy, we gonna do this. So I slapped together a Valentine for him. That's right, I made a Valentine from scratch for him. And I made it a Super Mario inspired Valentine. And yeah, back then I knew this was lame, and I still know it's lame today. So don't be, like, I'm not surprised. You can tell me it's lame. I know it was lame. And I purposely included a really lame poem inside. And it was one of those roses are red, violets are blue. And so I put together this really awkward Valentine, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my lame ass Valentine over to him at the end of the day so that if I can ask him out, you know, I can hide if he says no, I can just run away and drive home, right? The more I think about it, I think I actually asked him out inside of the card, because I don't think I would have been able to be like, hey, want to go on a date? So I think I actually put the invitation to go out inside of the card, and I handed it to him, and I remember I handed it to him. I was like, I made you a Valentine's Day card. And I handed it to him. And I just waited for him to read that sucker. And I don't remember what exactly happened. But then we started to go on a bunch of dates. And we went on like maybe 6, 7 dates or something. But basically for the remainder of the summer. I mean, unfortunately, school started, and then he had to move back to where he lived to begin teaching again, and we completely fell out of touch. So he was really kind of just like my end of summer boyfriend. And, or I mean like the end of summer guy I dated. So it was kind of weird and awkward, especially because of that lame Valentine. So, knowing that this lame Valentine was probably the only way he'd remember me, I was like, hey, you know me. I'm that awkward girl who made you that really lame Valentine. And he's like, oh my gosh, I still have that. And then I think he even said he framed it. And I was like, what? Like, that's kind of weird. I mean, okay. It's weird when anyone frames anything I make, because to me, like, I've never framed anything I've made myself. So when other people frame something that I made, I'm kind of like, whoa, really? That's kind of weird. But it's not really weird when you get art from someone. A lot of people do end up framing it because that's, you know, smart. You want to keep your picture in good condition and you want to display it, and it makes total sense. But I was like, oh, that's weird. So after the awkward saying hello and like, hey, I dated you, the YouTube people were like, we're gonna get started. And they talked about a whole bunch of different stuff involving YouTube's current algorithm at that point in time, and I learned absolutely nothing that could help me solve what actually happened to my account. And funny enough, out of everyone in the chat room, I had the most amount of recurrent viewers, at like a whopping 50% of my total views. And everyone else had around like 15% or less. And at the time, I was like, I don't know if I should be happy, because it seems like I can't get any new people to view my content. But on the other hand, it's like my subscribers are awesome and they're wonderful and they enjoy my content and I'm so happy. So other than that, nothing really interesting happened in the Google Hangout teaching section or whatever of that program. And at the very end, they wrapped up and I told Todd goodbye. It was good hearing from you. And that's the last I heard from him since that experience. At that time, I started a vlog channel and I was gonna vlog about the experience, but I never did. And I mean, there you have it. That's the time YouTube reunited me with my summertime boyfriend from like 10 years ago. And I still can't believe he held on to that lame card. I'm really surprised. Another surprising thing is just think about the chances of us being in the same Google Hangout, like at that same time. I mean, only certain people were getting those pop-ups at the time, and I know this for sure because I asked some of my other YouTube friends, and they had smaller channels, and they weren't getting these pop-ups from YouTube. And he wasn't active really on YouTube very much. Like, he uploads months and months and months in between uploads. And he's been on the site for many years, but he uploads extremely irregularly. So the chances of him finding that pop-up and signing up, and then me signing up, and then the chances of it being on the same date at the same scheduled time is just crazy. Especially since they had multiple classes a day, and they had multiple months available to schedule from. But, I mean, if I was him and like this weird girl came up with this handmade Super Mario Valentine. I mean, like, I don't know if I would have thought it was sweet and thoughtful, or like, as an adult, I would have been like, no, what were you thinking? But as a kid, I guess it's kind of cute and it's kind of innocent, it's kind of sweet. But I'm still surprised, like, damn, young Lemmy was brazen, asking older men out using handmade Mario Valentines. My poorly constructed artwork totally landed me a date. But yeah, that's my really, really awkward dating YouTube Hangout situation. So now that I told you guys a bit about me, I think it's your turn. What was your most awkward dating situation? Tell us the story. Or, I mean, was it asking the person out that was awkward, or was it the date itself? You know, like, what happened? Did you accept a date? Did you reject a date? Share your stories below, because I love reading stories. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and share it with all the other people sitting around our imaginary campfire. I'll talk to you guys again next week in another art video. Next week's video is going to be a pretty weird one. I mean, dare I say, much more weird than this one. Well, this one was more unexpected and awkward. Maybe not as weird. But next week's really weird. Okay, anyway, you guys take care of yourself, and I'll talk to y'all again real soon. Okay, bye guys.